What is up, everyone? So today we are going to be diving into setting up a bass groove in Reaktor. So we've got our panel open. Just to give a recap on how to do that, we go and we open up our app called Reaktor. And then once we have that open, we can choose from several different options. One is the play mode, which is we play from an instrument. One is the patch mode, which we build from modular racks. And lastly is the build mode, where you can build custom synth samplers, effects, or other sound design tools. So this one offers you the most flexibility in creating your sounds. So we're going to use this one and we're going to build. And so today we'll be diving in a quick session and building out a bass groove. This is perfect if you're looking to learn a bit about patching, or if you just want some inspiration for your own sound design. And we'll keep things simple and focus on creating a basic groove and with some modulation to give it some life. And let's jump in. So first up, let's lay down the foundation for our patch. We're going to start out with a couple of central modules that we need, and that's going to be a note in module. So we're going to grab that, and we'll grab our note in module, and then we'll grab a clock. That'll be one of the next ones we'll need. Then we can also grab an oscillator and bring that in. Then we can grab a filter, and finally we can grab a VCA, which is an amp. There's several different modules inside of Reaktor, as you may know, to choose from, and today we've just got an assortment of modules that we may need for this build, and we're going to keep going. So on the left hand side, you can see, like, for each type of module there's a name for it, like an acronym. So you'll see that AMP stands for amplifier, FLT stands for filter, mix stands for mix, and then you have modulators and oscillators and processors and sequencers. So those are the different modules that you're going to have inside of Reaktor, and they help you build out your modular racks. So we're just going to organize the panel a little bit. Actually, it's already organized because I clicked them in. So we got our note, we got our clock, we got our oscillator, filter, amp, and then we go out to our outsource, which is right here. Just going to organize a little more so we can see what's going on. And then from there, I dropped in a note module so that we can, a note in module. I didn't actually drop that in yet. So actually, let's grab that. We need a note in module so we can take signals from our, oh yeah, it did. Oops, it's right there. So we can take signals from our keyboard and input them into the computer using a note module. And when you see this light up here, I'm pressing a key on my keyboard, which is below me. It's just giving a signal, telling the computer that, hey, there's an input signal, and do something. So we have to connect that up to something for something to happen. So we're going to connect that pitch to the pitch source. So it sends pitch and timing data, and a clock module will keep the groove in our rhythm. So basically keep us on time when we're creating our rhythm. So the clock will control the timing, so we don't have to actually play a note in manually. It would just play for us, so we don't have to do it ourselves. But if I do it this way, with just note in, I'll have to play every single note that comes through, and we don't want to have to do that. So we're going to figure out a way around it with a clock, and let's add we've added an oscillator in, and this is our sound source of our bass. So it'll start with a basic saw wave. Let's start with that saw wave, and this will give us a nice thick tone for our bass. Let's dial that saw wave in. Okay, and then next up is our filter, we have a filter here, and this filter, it's called state variable filter. We use this to shape our tone of our oscillator, and it's gonna set. I'm gonna set it to low pass, so low shall pass, high shall pass. That's how I memorize the filter settings. So it gets confusing sometimes when you're trying to remember which one's which. But low pass essentially allows the lows to pass, and high pass allows the highs to pass. And that highs and lows are the frequencies. So frequencies are not visible, but we can make them visible if we add a scope in. But that maybe we'll add that a little bit later. So we're gonna allow the tone to come through, and we're gonna set a low pass filter. So low shall pass, and the highs are gonna be more cut off. So we've got that in place, and I've set a low pass filter for our bass frequencies, cutting off the high end. And so now we'll add some rhythm. We use an 8-step sequencer to do that. So we bring in our 8-step sequencer, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's a sequencer, and it creates a step of sequences for our notes in our whatever we're playing, whatever are generating our tone signal. And so basically from there, I'll connect up the 8-step sequencer, and each step will play a different note if we want. Right now I'll keep the sequence pretty simple, just to give us a nice steady bass groove. And let's go look at it. So if we bring it up to the front, we'll just add some notes here. Let's add like a C. What key? Let's do the key of F minor. So we'll choose F. What's in the key of F minor? F, G. Wait, F, G. Yeah, that's right. F, F, F. You can use your keyboard as well. F, then G. And then A flat. A flat or B sharp. A flat. I just realized we don't have any A flat, which would be, that would be our G sharp. So G sharp, it's not going in the right it's not using the right accidentals, but because we're going up and we're using a minor scale, but that's fine. We can still work with that. So that would be A flat. Then we got B flat, which is our A sharp. Then we got C, which is C. Then we got D flat, which is our C sharp. Let's get the C sharp. Then we got E flat again. So E flat, sorry. E flat. Then which would be our D sharp. And then we get back to F. And then we can just add another random note here. Let's add an A sharp. And then, so we got our scale. It's an F minor scale. And ignore this note. It's just using the sharp accidentals. That's okay. And accidentals are, what that means is like sharps or flats. Usually when we're going in a minor scale, we'll have flats as our accidentals going upwards from left to right. But in this case, I don't see any flats for the accidentals. So we're using the sharp version of the accidental, and that will suffice, or that'll be enough for what we're doing. So let's keep going with our build. So we're bringing the groove to life and add an LFO to modulate the filter cutoff. So let's add that LFO. I'm going to add LFO to modulate the filter cutoff. Modulate that filter cutoff. And then we're going to call this the filter LFO. The reason we're calling it the filter LFO is because it is working for the, think of it as an employee of the, or working for the filter. So, or you can say that's its job. So its job is to modulate the LFO. So now we've given this LFO a job. We just have to activate it to modulate the cutoff. And you'll see this little tick line move up and down. That just means that it's modulating right now. We just can't hear anything. So I'm going to turn it off for now. And then we'll start up. We'll actually leave that on. Just no modulation depth. And then we'll continue and we'll add a slow rate to the LFO, which will give the bass our bass a subtle pulsing effect. So now we have the basic setup. Let's tweak the sound. So I'm gonna set up the step sequencer just quickly. Let's add this in. Let's get our basic tone going. Okay. Turn the VCA up. Then we're going to connect this to the pitch. And then move this back down there. Wonder if that's a bit more visible for everyone. Yeah, it is, but I also want you to be able to see the panel and how I'm organizing the actual panel. But let's go back to our first view and reverse the view. Okay, so now we have our panel here. So you always want to make sure your panel is organized and in the proper order. And it looks like it's okay right now. LFO to oscillator. LFO is controlling the filter. Out to VCA. And now we can add some gate control. Okay. Let's get this hooked up. Okay, so our LFO is working. Just got to get this properly done. Okay, let's go internal clock. We're going to need one more thing. Add in an envelope to shape the amp. That would be our amp ADSR. We're going to connect that to our gate input of our step sequencer and out to the modulation source of our amplifier. So we have full control. In. Okay. Note in. Oops. Let's get this working. Gate signal. Okay, we got our step sequencer going using the internal clock. Now let's dial in our bass sound. Change the polarity. Change the wave shape. You can also do the rate and depth. So right now we're at 197 kilohertz. So we're getting kind of a groove going here. So you see how you can actually make a groove with this over time. You can adjust this and really make whatever you want to. So this is us testing it out, making a few adjustments, and tweaking some settings in the sequencer and the filter and the level to give it more of a variation and a vibe, or whatever you want to call it. And so this is where you can get creative, and every little tweak that you make changes the groove just a little bit, and which is the fun part of sound design, pretty much. And there you go. We have a simple rhythmic bass groove with some nice modulation to keep it interesting, and that's it for today's quick patch build in just a few minutes. So we've built a solid bass groove with just a few a few simple modules and adding added modulation to bring it to life. And if you enjoyed this, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more Reaktor sessions and sound design tips. Feel free to drop a comment if there's a specific sound you'd like me to cover in the next live session. And thanks for watching and happy patching. See you next time.